Tuesday morning, 10:17. Diane from HR stood in my corner office doorway holding 3 cardboard boxes and wearing that apologetic smile I would never forget. "Caitlin, we need you to pack up today. The new senior vice president starts Monday. He has a Harvard MBA. You'll understand." She set the boxes on my desk. I looked at the view I had earned, the awards on my wall, my nameplate. I packed in silence. By 11:30 I was walking through the parking lot.
Marcus watched from across the room, his face a mask of guilt and helplessness. I gave him a small nod. "It's okay. I'm okay. Let me tell you who I was before that Tuesday morning stripped everything away."
My name is Caitlin Wright, and I had given 8 years of my life to Meridian Technologies. 8 years of early mornings and late nights, of missed dinners and weekend strategy sessions, of building something from nothing. I started as a junior analyst fresh out of college, armed with nothing but a state school degree and a stubborn refusal to accept mediocrity. No fancy MBA, no family connections, just work ethic and results.
They promoted me 4 times in those 8 years. Each promotion came because I delivered what nobody else could. I built the entire supply chain optimization system from scratch, teaching myself coding languages at night, interviewing vendors during lunch breaks, mapping logistics routes on weekends. That system saved Meridian Technologies $14 million in logistics costs over 3 years. $14 million that went straight to the bottom line, that kept us competitive, that funded expansion into 2 new markets. I was Senior Operations Director, reporting directly to CEO Marcus Brennan. My corner office overlooked downtown Seattle, with floor-to-ceiling windows that caught the morning light perfectly. I had a team of 12 brilliant people who reported to me, who trusted me, who grew under my leadership. When there was a crisis, when something broke at 2 in the morning, when a major contract hung in the balance, they called me. I was the problem solver, the fixer, the person who made impossible things happen. That Tuesday started like any other. I arrived at 7 in the morning, coffee in hand, ready to tackle the Johnson Electronics contract negotiation. My team gathered in my office at 7:30 for our daily stand-up meeting. We laughed about Sarah's terrible date from the weekend, discussed the supply chain bottleneck in the Midwest distribution center, mapped out our strategy for the week ahead. At 9:15, I saw Marcus walking through the operations floor with someone I had only seen in the announcement email 2 weeks prior, Derek Ashford. The new hire. He wore an expensive suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent, and had that confident stride of someone who had never been told no. Marcus was giving him the grand tour, pointing at different departments, introducing him to senior managers. I did not think much of it then. The announcement email had said Derek was joining as Senior Vice President of Strategic Operations. The title sounded impressive but vague, the kind of executive role companies create when they need to accommodate someone important. Derek had a Harvard MBA and had worked at 2 Fortune 500 companies, though I noticed his tenures at both were remarkably short. 18 months here, 20 months there. His background was in marketing, not operations, but I figured maybe he brought some strategic perspective we could use. I went back to my work, reviewing the Johnson Electronics proposal, making notes for our afternoon call with their procurement team. At 10:17, Diane appeared in my doorway.
I had known Diane for 6 years. She was the kind of HR director who smiled too much, who used corporate speak like a shield, who never quite looked you in the eye when delivering bad news. She held 3 empty cardboard boxes stacked in her arms.
"Caitlin," she said, and that apologetic smile was already in place. "We need you to pack up today." I looked up from my laptop. "Excuse me?"
"The new senior vice president starts Monday. He needs this office." She set the boxes on my desk, right on top of the Johnson proposal I had been reviewing. "He has a Harvard MBA. You'll understand."
The words hung in the air like smoke. I stared at the boxes, at Diane's apologetic smile, at the view of Seattle behind her that I had earned through years of results. Where exactly am I moving to? I kept my voice level, professional. 3rd floor, Cube 3B. Your new role will be Operations Coordinator. She said it like it was a promotion, like I should be grateful. Derek needs the visibility and presence of a corner office. His credentials? Well, you understand. Operations Coordinator. A title I had held 7 years ago. A cubicle on the 3rd floor, sandwiched between the break room and the bathrooms, with no windows and no privacy. A demotion disguised with corporate language and a fake smile.
I looked at my awards on the wall. Supply Chain Excellence Award, 3 years running. Innovation in Logistics Certificate. The framed photo of my team after we closed the Patterson Industries deal. All of us grinning, exhausted, victorious. My degrees might not have Ivy League names on them, but my results spoke louder than any credential.
I see, I said quietly.
I know it's a big change, Diane continued, still smiling. But Derek brings such valuable experience. His strategic vision will really elevate our operations. And you'll still be doing important work as coordinator. Just, supporting his initiatives.
Supporting his initiatives. My initiatives. The systems I built, the relationships I cultivated, the contracts I negotiated. Now, I would be supporting someone else taking credit for my work. I started packing. I did not argue. I did not cry. I did not give Diane or anyone else the satisfaction of seeing me break. I methodically removed my awards from the wall, wrapped them in the tissue paper I kept in my desk drawer for gift giving. I took down the photos, disconnected my second monitor, gathered my reference books and personal notebooks. As I packed, I heard voices in the hallway. Derek and Marcus, still on their tour. Once I implement my McKinsey framework, we can streamline these outdated systems, Derek was saying, his voice carrying that particular confidence of someone who had never actually built anything. Everything I'm seeing here is legacy infrastructure. Inefficient, antiquated. I froze, a picture frame halfway into the box. Caitlin built those systems, Marcus said, and I could hear the hesitation in his voice. They've saved us millions. Exactly my point, Derek laughed. Legacy systems built by someone without formal strategic training. Harvard taught me that these kinds of homegrown solutions are anchors. They hold companies back. We need to replace everything with proven enterprise frameworks. I've done this twice before. Replace everything. 8 years of work. $14 million in savings. Systems that worked flawlessly. He was going to dismantle all of it. Well, fresh perspective is valuable, Marcus said weakly. I placed the picture frame in the box and closed the flap. In that moment, I understood completely. This was not just a demotion. This was erasure. They were not just taking my office. They were taking my work, my achievements, my legacy, and handing it all to someone who planned to destroy it and rebuild it with his name on it. I looked around my office one more time. The morning light still streamed through those floor-to-ceiling windows. The Seattle skyline still sparkled in the distance. But none of it was mine anymore. I picked up the boxes and walked out. I said goodbye to my team one by one. Sarah was at her desk working on the vendor analysis I had assigned her yesterday. When she saw me carrying boxes, her face went pale. Caitlin? What's happening? I'm moving to a different role, I said, keeping my voice steady. You're going to do great. Keep pushing on that vendor consolidation project. It matters.
Sarah's eyes filled with tears. This is wrong. You built this department.
Take care of each other, I told her. You're all talented. Don't forget that.
I stopped by each desk. Emma, my assistant for 4 years, actually started crying. This is insane. You are this department. Who's going to lead us? You're all capable of leading yourselves. I squeezed her shoulder. Trust your instincts.
Word spread fast. By the time I reached the elevator, the operations floor had gone quiet. People stood at their desks watching me leave. Some looked angry. Others looked scared. Everyone looked confused. I made one stop before leaving. The IT department on the 2nd floor. I found Paul, the IT director, in his office, surrounded by monitors. Caitlin! He looked up with a smile that faded when he saw the boxes. What's going on? I need to return my access badge and laptop. I set them on his desk. Paul stared at them like they were bombs. You're leaving? Since when? Does Marcus know? Marcus knows everything he needs to know. I pulled out my personal external hard drive. I downloaded all my personal files, nothing proprietary, just my own notes and references. You can verify if you want. I don't need to verify. You're the most ethical person in this company. Paul stood up. Caitlin, what happened? They're giving my office to the new SVP, Derek Ashford. He has a Harvard MBA. Paul's jaw tightened. And you have 8 years of results. This is garbage. It's business, I said, though the words tasted bitter. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. I wanted to see it, the cubicle they expected me to accept. Cube 3B sat in the worst location possible, directly between the break room, where the coffee machine buzzed constantly, and people gathered for loud conversations, and the bathrooms, where the door slammed every 3 minutes. No windows, no privacy. The walls of the cube were that industrial gray that made everything feel like a prison. The desk was half the size of what I had upstairs. A nameplate already sat on the cube wall, fresh, newly printed. Caitlin Wright, Operations Coordinator. They had planned this, ordered the nameplate in advance, decided my fate before ever talking to me. The disrespect was not accidental. It was calculated. I stood there for 30 seconds, looking at that nameplate, that gray cube, that future they expected me to accept. Then I turned and walked straight back to HR. Diane looked up from her computer when I entered. Getting settled in your new space?
I'm resigning, effective immediately.
The color drained from her face. What? Caitlin, you can't just... We need transition time. There are protocols. You needed transition time before demoting your senior operations director to a cube next to the bathroom. I slid my badge across her desk. The laptop was still with IT. I'm done.
But the projects, the contracts, you can't just walk away.
Watch me. I walked out of the HR office, down the main corridor, through the lobby where I had entered every morning for 8 years. The security guard, Frank, called out a goodbye. I waved but did not stop. If I stopped, if I let myself feel it, I might break.
My car was in the parking garage, level 3, spot 87. I had parked in the same spot for 4 years. I loaded my boxes into the trunk, got behind the wheel, and sat there for a moment.
It was 11:30 in the morning. In 6 hours, my entire career at Meridian had ended. 8 years of work, of loyalty, of results. Finished. I started the car and drove out of the parking garage. The Seattle sky was overcast, typical for March. Rain threatened but had not started yet. I drove home on autopilot, my mind strangely blank. My phone started ringing as I hit the highway. Marcus calling. I declined the call. It rang again. Marcus. Declined. Again. Marcus. Declined. I pulled into my apartment complex at noon 15. My phone showed 7 missed calls, all Marcus. Then Diane called. I declined. Then someone named Linda Strauss, the CFO. I barely knew her. Declined. I carried my boxes upstairs to my apartment, a 1-bedroom place in Fremont, with a view of the canal. I set the boxes in the corner of my living room and stared at them. My entire professional life, reduced to 3 cardboard boxes. I made tea. Earl Grey, my favorite. I sat on my couch and finally let myself breathe. The phone kept ringing. I silenced it and set it face down on the coffee table. I should have felt devastated. I should have been crying, panicking, spiraling. Instead, I felt strangely light. Like I had been carrying something heavy for so long that I forgot it was there, and now I had finally set it down. At 12:45, stopped at a red light on my drive home. I had glanced at my phone. 7 missed calls. Marcus, Diane, Linda, some number I did not recognize. Now at home, I picked up the phone and scrolled through the notifications. 14 missed calls now. The number kept climbing.
Then a text from Emma. They're freaking out. Derek asked about the Patterson account codes and nobody knows them. What did you do? I stared at that text. The Patterson account codes.
Patterson Industries was our biggest client. $89 million in annual contract value. They were the flagship account, the one we showcased to investors, the one that proved our supply chain optimization actually worked. I had built the entire Patterson system myself. Custom encrypted database, proprietary tracking algorithms, access codes that rotated weekly based on an encryption formula I developed. It was the most sophisticated system we had, and it worked flawlessly. I was the only person who knew how it worked. The only person with the access algorithm memorized. And the Patterson contract renewal meeting was tomorrow, Wednesday morning at 9. I had not planned this. I had not deleted files or sabotaged anything. I simply knew the systems inside and out because I built them. Nobody else did because nobody else needed to. I was always there. Until now. My phone buzzed with another text from Emma. Marcus is losing his mind. They can't access any of the Patterson files. Derek tried, but he doesn't even know what questions to ask.
Then another. Emergency executive meeting happening right now.
Another. Someone mentioned calling legal.
I set the phone down and took a sip of tea. It had gone cold. At 12:59 my doorbell rang. I was not expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole and saw Amanda, Marcus's executive assistant. She was breathing hard, her professional demeanor cracked, looking frazzled in a way I had never seen. I opened the door. Caitlin. She was almost panting. Thank God you're home, Marcus sent me. He's desperate. Please, we need to talk. About what? Patterson. The meeting tomorrow. Derek. He doesn't know anything. He spent the last hour asking what supply chain optimization even means. He can't access the files, doesn't understand the systems, can't read the technical documentation. Amanda's words tumbled out fast. Marcus is panicking. The whole executive team is in crisis mode. I leaned against the doorframe. That sounds stressful. Caitlin, please. Amanda looked close to tears. I know what they did was wrong. I know it was awful. But $89 million. If we lose Patterson, the company. The company will what? Amanda took a breath. Marcus asked me to tell you. Derek is being reassigned. Effective immediately. You can have your office back. He'll match any salary you want. Just please help us save this meeting. I stared at her. Marcus had sent his assistant to my house. To beg. The CEO of a $150 million company had sent someone to beg me to come back. He sent you to my house, I said slowly. To beg. Amanda nodded, looking embarrassed. Tell Marcus I'll think about it. I closed the door. I did not call back. I made dinner. Pasta with marinara sauce, simple and comforting. I took a long bath with lavender oil. I read 3 chapters of the mystery novel I had been neglecting for weeks. I went to bed at 10 and slept better than I had in months. My phone rang 47 times between 3 in the afternoon and 8 in the evening. I counted. The emails were even more desperate. I read them while eating breakfast Wednesday morning, 7 hours before the Patterson meeting was scheduled to start. Marcus sent at 3:15 p.m. Tuesday. Caitlin, there's been a misunderstanding. We need to discuss this immediately. Please call me back. Linda Strauss sent at 4:30 p.m. Caitlin, I understand you've resigned. We need the Patterson encryption keys. This is urgent. Please respond. Derek Ashford sent at 5:02 p.m. Hi Caitlin, Derek Ashford here. I'm trying to access some operational files and seem to be locked out of several systems. Could you help me understand the access protocols? Thanks. Marcus again, sent at 6:18 p.m. Caitlin, I'm asking you professionally to respond. We have a situation that requires your immediate attention. Linda again, sent at 7:45 p.m. Caitlin, the Patterson presentation is tomorrow at 9 a.m. We need those access codes now. Please be reasonable. I sipped my coffee and kept reading. Emma had sent me updates throughout the evening, each one more chaotic than the last. Derek is in your old office looking through everything. He can't find the Patterson files. Well, he found them but can't open them. Marcus just yelled at Diane in the hallway. I've never heard him yell before. They're in an emergency executive meeting. All the executives. It's been going for 2 hours. Someone said they might call legal to force you to give them access. Paul from IT says, there's nothing they can do. The encryption is too complex. Are you okay? I texted Emma back at 7 in the morning. I'm fine. How are you holding up? She responded immediately. Scared. Nobody knows what's happening. Derek tried to run a team meeting yesterday and it was a disaster. He doesn't understand what we do. Are you coming back? I don't know yet, I wrote honestly. What I did know was this. I had not created this situation intentionally. I had not sabotaged anything or deleted files. I had simply built systems that lived in my head because I was good at my job. The documentation existed, technical specifications, process flows, system architecture diagrams. It was all there in the shared drive. But documentation and understanding were two different things. You could read a manual on how to fly a plane, but that did not make you a pilot. The Patterson system was sophisticated because it needed to be. $89 million of business required serious security and precision. It would take someone weeks to reverse engineer what I built. Maybe months. They had less than 2 hours. At 7:30, my doorbell rang again. This time, it was not Amanda. It was Marcus himself. He looked terrible. Suit wrinkled, tie loose, eyes bloodshot. He had clearly been up all night. Caitlin, he said. Please, can we talk? I considered closing the door. Instead, I stepped aside. 5 minutes. He came in and stood awkwardly in my living room, looking at the boxes still stacked in the corner. The boxes Diane had given me yesterday morning. I made a terrible mistake, he started. You made several, I said. He flinched. Derek's father went to college with Thomas Whitmore. Thomas is on our board. He pushed hard for Derek to get a high visibility role. Said Derek needed executive experience, that his MBA made him perfect for operations leadership. I thought. He trailed off. You thought credentials matter more than competence? Yes. He said it simply, without defensiveness. I was wrong. Completely wrong. I watched Derek yesterday try to understand your systems. He couldn't. He spent 3 hours with your documentation and came out knowing less than when he started. He has no idea what you actually do. He plans to replace everything I built with McKinsey frameworks, I said. Marcus closed his eyes. I know. I heard him say that. I was an idiot, Caitlin. A complete idiot. Name your price. Any title. Anything you want. Just please help us save Patterson. I don't want my old job back. His face fell. Then what? What do you want? I walked to my kitchen counter and picked up the document I had spent yesterday evening drafting. I handed it to him. I want these terms. He read in silence. I watched his expressions shift. Surprise, shock, resignation. My terms were simple but comprehensive. Chief Operating Officer title. Seat on the executive board with full voting rights. 40% salary increase from my previous senior director compensation. Performance-based equity package worth up to 2% of company ownership. Final approval authority on all operations department hires, with no board override. Derek Ashford to be terminated immediately. Written apology from the board of directors, to be read at the next all-hands company meeting. New HR policies prohibiting nepotism hires and requiring merit-based advancement. And one more thing. Marcus read that last item and looked up. You want Diane fired? Yes. The HR director? That seems. She handed me boxes and smiled, I said flatly. She knew exactly what she was doing. She's enabled every nepotism hire this company has made for 3 years. I've watched talented people get passed over so board members' relatives could get cushy positions. She goes, or I walk right now, and Patterson walks at 9. Marcus stared at the document. His hands were shaking slightly. This is extensive. You have 30 minutes to decide. I need time to prepare for Patterson if I'm doing this. I stood and walked to the door, opening it. Get it in writing. Signed by you and the board chair. Email it to me by 8. Then I'll save your company. Marcus looked at me for a long moment. I saw him calculating, weighing, considering. Then his shoulders slumped. I accept. All of it. In writing. By 8. You'll have it. He left. I closed the door and leaned against it, my heart pounding. At 7:58, my email pinged. A PDF from Marcus. Signed employment agreement with all my terms. Countersigned by board chair Elizabeth Murphy. At 7:59, A second email. From HR. Subject. Termination notification. Diane's employment had been terminated effective immediately. I opened my closet and pulled out my best suit. Navy blue, tailored, professional. The suit I wore when I closed the original Patterson deal 3 years ago. I had a meeting to prepare for. The conference room on the 5th floor was chaos when I arrived at 8:30. Marcus was there, along with Linda, the CFO, James Morrison, the COO, and 3 senior managers from the operations team. Derek was notably absent. Papers were scattered across the table. Someone had pulled up old PowerPoint presentations on the screen, clearly trying to piece together something presentable. "Caitlin," Marcus said, and the relief in his voice was palpable. "Thank God." "Where's the Patterson team arriving?" I asked, setting down my bag. "Main lobby at 9. Jennifer Hartley is bringing her VP of Supply Chain and 2 analysts. Have you prepared anything?" Linda gestured helplessly at the mess on the table. "We found your old presentations, but they're from the initial contract 3 years ago. We can't access any of the current performance data. It's all in your encrypted database." I pulled out my laptop. "Clear the table." They scrambled to comply. I connected to the projector and opened my Patterson file. The one that lived on my personal encrypted drive. The one I had been updating for 3 years. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'll run the presentation. Marcus, you'll do the opening welcome. Linda, you'll be ready to answer any financial questions. Everyone else, just look confident and don't volunteer information you don't have." "What about the renewal terms?" James asked. "Already drafted. I revised them 2 weeks ago. They're getting a 3-year extension with a 12% efficiency improvement guarantee." They stared at me. "You had this ready?" Marcus asked quietly. "I always have it ready. That's my job." I looked at him. Or it was, until yesterday. At 8:57, Amanda called from the lobby. "They're here." "Send them up," Marcus said. Jennifer Hartley walked into the conference room at exactly 9, her team behind her. She was in her mid-50s, sharp-eyed, with a reputation for being one of the toughest negotiators in manufacturing. I had worked with her for 3 years and earned her respect the hard way. Her eyes scanned the room and landed on me. Her face lit up. "Caitlin, I heard a rumor you'd left Meridian. I was about to cancel this meeting." I stood and shook her hand. "Just a brief transition period. I'm back as Chief Operating Officer now." "Coup?" Jennifer's eyebrows rose. "Well, that's overdue. Congratulations." "Thank you. Shall we get started?" For the next 90 minutes, I walked the Patterson team through everything. 3 years of performance data, showing them exactly how our optimization system had reduced their logistics costs by 23%. Detailed analytics on shipment timing, warehouse efficiency, route optimization, real numbers, real results. Then I showed them the new algorithm I had been developing, an enhancement to the existing system that would save them another 12% over the next 3 years. Jennifer's VP of Supply Chain leaned forward. "This is impressive. How confident are you in these projections?" 97% confident. "I've been beta testing the algorithm for 6 months using historical data. The results are consistent." Jennifer looked at her team. They nodded. "We'll renew," she said. 3-year contract extension at the proposed terms. "And I want to discuss expansion opportunities. We're opening 2 new distribution centers next year. Can your system scale?" "Absolutely." We spent another 30 minutes on expansion details. By the time Jennifer and her team left, we had not just saved the $89 million contract. We had expanded it to potentially $119 million over 3 years. The conference room was silent after they left. Marcus sat down heavily in a chair. "You just saved this company." "I did my job." I started packing up my laptop. "Caitlin." It was Linda who spoke. "Thank you. I know we don't deserve it after what happened, but thank you." I looked at her. "You voted against hiring Derek, didn't you?" She blinked in surprise. "How did you know?" "I didn't. But you're the only one who looks ashamed right now instead of just relieved." Linda's professional composure cracked slightly. "I told the board it was a mistake, that we had talent in-house, that credentials don't mean capability. Thomas Whitmore overruled me. Said Derek's Harvard pedigree would look good to investors. And how do you think investors would feel about losing Patterson?" She smiled grimly. We'd have been explaining that on the quarterly earnings call next month. Stock would have tanked. Heads would have rolled. Starting with Marcus, and probably including me. I closed my laptop. Where's my office? Your old one, Marcus said quickly. Derek's things have been removed. Your nameplate is back on the door. Everything you left yesterday has been put back. Good. I'll be working from home the rest of today. I need to update some systems, and I prefer to do that somewhere quiet. I'll be in tomorrow morning at 7. I walked out before anyone could respond. My phone buzzed as I drove home. Emma. Everyone is saying you're cool now. Is it true? I smiled and texted back. True. See you tomorrow. The rest of Wednesday was quiet. I worked from my couch, updating access protocols, changing passwords, documenting systems so that the knowledge would not live only in my head anymore. Not because I was afraid of being fired again, because a COO needed to build systems that could survive without her. At 4 in the afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. This is Caitlin. Marcus, sent at 3:15 p.m. Tuesday. Caitlin, there's been a misunderstanding. We need to discuss this immediately. Please call me back. I sat up straighter. Miss Murphy, good afternoon. I wanted to call personally. The board met this morning after the Patterson renewal. We're voting tomorrow on all the terms Marcus agreed to. I wanted you to know you have my full support. I appreciate that. What we did to you was unconscionable. Thomas Whitmore has submitted his resignation from the board, effective immediately. He knows he put personal relationships ahead of company welfare. We're implementing new governance policies to ensure it doesn't happen again. That's good to hear. You deserved better, Caitlin. We're going to make sure you get it. See you at the board meeting next month. She hung up. I stared at my phone. Thomas Whitmore had resigned. The board member who pushed Derek's hire, who valued credentials over competence, who started this entire mess. It was all falling apart for them. And coming together for me. Thursday morning, I walked back into Meridian Technologies at 6:45, early, even for me. The building was nearly empty, just security and the janitorial staff. I took the elevator to the executive floor. My corner office was exactly as I remembered it. The awards were back on the wall, perfectly aligned. My nameplate on the door now read Caitlin Wright, Chief Operating Officer. The view of Seattle was the same, but somehow it looked different. Better. I sat at my desk and breathed. At 7, Marcus appeared in my doorway. He looked better than yesterday, rested. His suit was pressed, his tie straight. May I come in? I gestured to the chair across from my desk. He sat. The board voted this morning. Emergency session at 6. Your terms were approved unanimously. Elizabeth said she called you. She did. Thomas resigned. Derek's termination was finalized. We're doing a company-wide announcement at 2 this afternoon. He paused. Diane's replacement starts Monday. We promoted Rachel from within. She's been an HR manager for 4 years. Solid, ethical, merit-focused. Good choice. Caitlin, I need you to know something. Marcus leaned forward. When Thomas came to me about Derek, he made it sound like a done deal. Said the board would appreciate it, that Derek had amazing credentials, that it would be good for our image. I should have questioned it. I should have talked to you first. I should have valued 8 years of results over a name on a resume. Yes, I said simply. You should have. I'm sorry. He said it plainly, without qualification. I'm truly sorry. You built the backbone of this company's operations, and I treated you like you were replaceable. That was wrong. I studied him. Apology noted. Don't let it happen again. It won't. I promise you, it won't. He stood to leave, then turned back. The board wants to hold the announcement at 2, all hands meeting. They want to do the formal apology then, public, in front of everyone. Are you comfortable with that? Yes. At 9, my team started arriving. Emma saw me through the glass wall and her face broke into the biggest smile I had seen in days. She practically ran into my office. You're back. And your COO. Caitlin, oh my God, I'm so happy I could cry. Please don't cry. We have work to do. But I was smiling too. One by one, my team came by. Sarah, who brought me coffee the way I liked it. Paul from IT, who high-fived me and said justice. James Morrison, the actual COO, who would now be my peer, who shook my hand and said, "Welcome to the executive team. We need you." By noon, the entire operations floor was buzzing. Word had spread. Caitlin was back. Caitlin was COO. Derek was gone. At 1:45, the company gathered in the main auditorium, all 183 employees of Meridian Technologies. People filled the seats, stood along the walls, whispered to each other. I sat in the front row with the executive team. Marcus stood at the podium. "Thank you all for coming on short notice," he began. "I'm going to be direct. This week, our company made a serious error in judgment. We allowed politics to override performance. We allowed credentials to matter more than competence. We disrespected someone who built the foundation of this company's success." The room was silent. On Tuesday, we demoted Senior Operations Director Caitlin Wright without warning, without cause, without justification. We gave her corner office to a new hire with an impressive resume but no understanding of our business. We made her pack boxes and treated 8 years of exceptional results as if they meant nothing. I could feel people staring at me. Caitlin resigned. And within hours, we realized what we had done. We had lost the person who knew our systems, who built our processes, who saved us millions of dollars, who made impossible things happen. Yesterday morning, we faced losing our biggest client because the person we hired to replace her couldn't do in one day what Caitlin does in her sleep. A few nervous laughs rippled through the crowd. "I'm here to announce that Caitlin Wright is our new Chief Operating Officer," Marcus gestured to me. "She will have final authority over all operational decisions, a seat on our board, and my complete support. Additionally, we're implementing new merit-based hiring policies. No more nepotism. No more hiring someone's relative or friend just because they have connections. If you want to work here, you'll earn it. If you want to advance, you'll prove it." Applause started, quiet at first, then building. We're also implementing anonymous feedback channels. If you see something wrong, something unfair, something that violates our values, you can report it safely. We failed Caitlin by not listening. We won't make that mistake again. Marcus paused. "I'm going to invite our board chair, Elizabeth Murphy, to say a few words." Elizabeth walked to the podium. She was in her 60s, a veteran executive with gray hair and sharp intelligence. "The board has reviewed what happened this week. We failed in our oversight responsibilities. One of our board members, Thomas Whitmore, pushed for the hiring of someone based on personal connections rather than qualifications. I'm announcing that Thomas has resigned from the board, effective immediately." Murmurs through the crowd. "We owe Caitlin Wright an apology, not just from management but from the board. We allowed this to happen. We approved a decision that was fundamentally unjust. Caitlin, on behalf of the entire board of directors, I apologize. You deserved better. You will get better. Thank you for giving us a second chance." The applause this time was thunderous. After the meeting, people stopped me in the hallway. Some I knew well, others I had only met in passing. All of them wanted to say congratulations, to say they were glad I was back, to say what happened was wrong. At 4, I had my first official board meeting as COO. We discussed quarterly projections, the Patterson expansion, new hiring strategies. I presented a 3-year operations roadmap that would save the company an additional $8 million annually. The board approved it without hesitation. At 6, I was finally alone in my office. The sun was setting over Seattle, painting the sky orange and pink. My computer dinged with an email. From Jennifer Hartley, Patterson Industries. Subject: Congratulations. Caitlin, heard through the grapevine that you're now COO. About time. You're the best operations executive I've worked with in 20 years. If you ever decide to leave Meridian, call me. We'd hire you in a heartbeat. Until then, looking forward to our partnership. Jennifer. I smiled and saved the email. My phone buzzed. Emma, drinks tonight to celebrate? I considered. Tomorrow. Tonight I'm going home to sleep for 12 hours. You've earned it, boss. Boss. I was the boss now. Not just of a team, but of an entire operational division, with board authority, with real power to make changes. And I had earned every bit of it. 3 months later, my office had new additions. A second monitor for tracking real-time logistics data. A whiteboard wall where my team brainstormed optimization strategies. Photos from the new hire orientation I had personally conducted. where I told 23 new employees that we valued what they could do, not where they went to school. Meridian Technologies had changed. Slowly, sometimes painfully, but genuinely. We had hired 5 new people in operations, all through merit-based selection. No board connections, no family friends, just talented individuals who aced their interviews and proved they could do the work. 2 of them had community college degrees. 1 had no degree at all, just 10 years of logistics experience. All of them were excellent. The anonymous feedback system had flagged 3 managers for favoritism. We investigated, found the complaints valid, and those managers were now on performance improvement plans. The message was clear. Credentials and connections would not protect you anymore. Company culture was shifting. People worked harder because they knew effort mattered now. They innovated because they knew ideas would be heard. They stayed late, not out of fear, but out of genuine engagement. Our stock price had climbed 12%. The Patterson contract expansion was ahead of schedule. I had renegotiated 3 other major contracts, saving clients money and securing longer terms. Revenue projections for the year had been revised upward twice. Marcus had become a better CEO, more thoughtful, more willing to listen, less impressed by fancy resumes. We met weekly for strategy sessions, and he actually took my advice now. Emma had been promoted to senior operations manager, overseeing a team of 6. She was thriving in the role, bringing fresh ideas and energy that made me proud. Paul from IT had built out new security systems based on my recommendations. No more single points of failure. Documentation was robust, accessible, comprehensive. Even Derek Ashford had landed on his feet. I heard through the corporate grapevine that he was working at a marketing firm owned by his father's friend, a better fit for his skills and experience. No hard feelings on my end. He was just a symptom of a bigger problem, one that we had fixed. On a Friday afternoon in June, I sat in my office reviewing the quarterly board report. The numbers were strong. Operations costs down $8 million annually. Revenue up 18%. Client satisfaction scores at all-time highs. My phone rang. Unknown number. This is Caitlin. Miss Wright, this is David Chen. Actually, sorry, I should use a different last name in this conversation. David Harrison from Vertex Industries. I smiled at the correction. He was being careful about my naming preferences. How can I help you, David? We're looking for a chief operations officer. Your name came up in every conversation we had about who the best in the business is. I know you just took the COO role at Meridian a few months ago, but I wanted to reach out. If you're ever interested in exploring opportunities, we'd love to talk. I appreciate that, David. I'm very happy where I am, but I'll keep you in mind. Please do. The offer stands. I hung up and looked out at the Seattle skyline. 6 months ago, I was packing boxes in humiliation. Now I was getting recruited by competitors. My desk phone buzzed. Caitlin, the new operations analyst, is here for her first day. Should I bring her up? Yes, please. A minute later, Amanda walked in with a young woman in her mid-20s. Nervous energy, eager eyes, carrying a messenger bag covered in enamel pins. Caitlin Wright, this is Sophia Martinez. She's starting today as junior operations analyst. I stood and shook Sophia's hand. Welcome to Meridian. Tell me about yourself. I graduated from the University of Washington last year, business degree with a focus in supply chain management. I interned at 3 companies, but this is my first full-time operations role. I'm honestly a little terrified, but really excited. Where'd you do your internships? Local businesses, a brewery, a bookstore distribution center, and a food bank. Tell me about the food bank. Sophia's face lit up. That was my favorite. They had this completely inefficient system for sorting donations. I helped them redesign their warehouse layout and implement a new tracking system. They were able to serve 30% more families after that. With what resources? Just time and creativity. They had no budget for fancy software. So I used spreadsheets and color-coded bins and trained their volunteers. Low tech, high impact. I smiled. You're going to do great here. Emma will be your direct supervisor. She'll show you the ropes. But let me tell you something important. Your degree got you the interview. Your internship work got you hired. But what will make you successful here is your ability to solve real problems with whatever resources you have. Fancy frameworks are nice, results are better. Understand? Yes, ma'am. Don't call me ma'am. Caitlin is fine. Welcome to the team. After Sophia left, Emma poked her head in. She seems promising. She is. No prestigious MBA, but she knows how to think. That matters more. You would know. Emma grinned. Oh, Patterson's CEO sent you something. It's at reception. I walked down to the lobby. A package was waiting, elegantly wrapped. Inside was a bottle of very expensive whiskey and a note. Caitlin, to celebrate 3 years of exceptional partnership and 3 more to come, you're irreplaceable. Jennifer Hartley. Irreplaceable. That word meant something different now. 6 months ago, they had tried to replace me. They failed because I had built something that could not be easily replicated. Not because I hoarded information or sabotaged systems, but because I had put in years of work, developed expertise, created value that went beyond any title. Now I was not just back. I was elevated, empowered, respected. And I had made sure the company culture changed so nobody else would face what I faced. That evening I stayed late, finishing the strategy presentation for Monday's board meeting. Around 7:30, Marcus knocked on my door. Burning the midnight oil? Just finishing up. What are you still doing here? Same. He leaned against the doorframe. I wanted to thank you, not for saving Patterson, not for the revenue growth or the cost savings, for staying. You could have walked away and never looked back. A lot of people would have. I considered it. What made you stay?
I thought about that. My team. The people who didn't do this to me but would have suffered if the company collapsed. And honestly, I built too much here to let it get destroyed by someone who didn't understand it. This is my work. I wasn't going to let it go that easily.
Marcus nodded. Well, I'm grateful. We all are. Have a good weekend, Caitlin. You too. I packed up my laptop and headed out. The Seattle summer evening was beautiful, still light at 7:30, warm and clear. I drove home with the windows down, music playing, feeling content in a way I had not felt in years. My phone buzzed at a red light. Text from Sarah. Team happy hour next Friday to celebrate our Q2 numbers. You coming? Wouldn't miss it, I texted back. The light turned green. I drove home to my apartment in Fremont, the same one-bedroom place I had returned to 6 months ago with 3 boxes and a shattered career. But I was not shattered anymore. I was stronger, clearer, more certain of my worth than I had ever been. Sometimes the worst moments create the best opportunities. You just have to be brave enough to walk away and smart enough to know when to come back. 6 months became a year. The changes at Meridian Technologies were not just sustained, they deepened.
We had won 3 industry awards for operational excellence. Our merit-based hiring program was written up in a business journal as a model for other mid-size companies. Employee satisfaction scores had climbed 42%. Turnover was at an all-time low.
I had built a team that could run without me, which was the highest compliment I could give them and myself. Systems were documented, knowledge was shared, redundancies were in place. If I took a vacation, which I actually did now, operations continued smoothly. Emma had been promoted again to Director of Logistics Operations. She now supervised 37 people and was being groomed for VP track. We had coffee every Tuesday morning to discuss strategy, and her ideas were often better than mine.
The Patterson contract had expanded twice more. We were now managing $118 million in annual business for them, and Jennifer Hartley had referred 3 other companies to us. Our client roster had grown by 8 major accounts in the past year.
Marcus had fully transformed as a CEO. He was humble now, thoughtful, collaborative. He asked questions instead of assuming answers. He valued substance over style. Our working relationship was built on mutual respect and trust. The board had added 2 new members, both chosen for expertise rather than connections. Elizabeth Murphy remained as chair, providing steady, ethical leadership. Every quarter, she started our board meetings by reading our company values aloud, including the new one we had added: merit over credentials, results over resumes. On a Tuesday morning in March, Exactly 1 year after Diane had handed me those boxes, I walked into the office at my usual 7 a.m. The operations floor was already buzzing with activity. My team was engaged, motivated, productive. I had spent the weekend thinking about that day a year ago. The humiliation, the anger, the uncertainty. How close I had come to just walking away forever. How that moment of crisis had forced me to recognize my own value in a way I never had before. My office phone rang at 9:15. "Caitlin, you have a visitor. Jennifer Hartley from Patterson is here." That was unexpected. We did not have a meeting scheduled. "Send her up." Jennifer walked in carrying a leather portfolio and smiling. "Surprise visit. Hope that's okay." "Always a pleasure. What brings you to Seattle?" "You, actually." She sat across from my desk. "I'm not here on Patterson business. I'm here on Hartley consulting business." I raised an eyebrow. "You started a consulting firm?" "I'm leaving Patterson in 3 months. Retirement, technically, but I'm not ready to golf full-time. I'm launching a supply chain consulting firm focused on mid-market manufacturing companies. High-end expertise, personalized service, real results. Sounds perfect for you. I want you to join me as a partner." I blinked. "What?" "50-50 partnership. We'd work with maybe 10 to 12 clients maximum, companies that need complete operations transformation. You'd have equity, autonomy, unlimited upside. And you'd be building your own firm instead of working for someone else's." It was a stunning offer. The kind that would have made me jump a year ago. "Jennifer, I'm honored. Truly. But I need to ask, why now?" "Because I've watched you for 4 years. You're the best operations executive I've ever worked with. You're strategic, technical, people-focused. You build things that last. And frankly, you're wasted working for someone else. You should be building your own empire." I sat back in my chair. "Can I think about it?" "Take all the time you need. I don't launch until June. But Caitlin, seriously consider it. You've proven everything you need to prove at Meridian. What's left to accomplish here?" After she left, I stared out at the Seattle skyline. What was left to accomplish? I had my corner office back, better than before. I had the title, the respect, the compensation, the authority. I had transformed the company culture. I had built systems that worked and teams that thrived. I had won. But Jennifer's question lingered. What was next? At noon, I walked down to the operations floor. Sophia, the junior analyst I had welcomed a year ago, was leading a team meeting, presenting a warehouse optimization proposal. She was confident, articulate, thorough. Emma sat in the back, looking proud. This was what I had built. Not just systems and processes, but people, leaders, a culture where talent mattered. I went back to my office and called Jennifer. "I appreciate the offer more than you know," I said, "but I'm staying at Meridian." "Can I ask why?" "Because I built something here worth protecting. A year ago, they tried to throw me away. I came back and changed everything. The company, the culture, the values. If I leave now, I'm not sure that survives. I need to stay long enough to make sure it's permanent." Marcus had fully transformed as a CEO. He was humble now, thoughtful, collaborative. He asked questions instead of assuming answers. He valued substance over style. Our working relationship was built on mutual respect and trust. "Thank you, Jennifer." That afternoon, I had my weekly one-on-one with Marcus. "I got a job offer today," I told him. "Partnership in a consulting firm. Equity, autonomy, the works." His face went pale. "Are you leaving?" "No. But I wanted you to know that I'm choosing to stay. And I need you to understand what that means." "What does it mean?" "It means this company needs to keep being a place worth staying at. Merit-based hiring, ethical leadership, respect for people who do the work. If that changes, if we backslide, I'm gone. And next time, I won't come back." Marcus nodded slowly. "Understood. And agreed. We won't backslide. I won't let it happen." "Good." As I walked back to my office, Emma caught up with me. "Hey, can I talk to you about something?" "Always." "I got approached by a recruiter yesterday. VP of Operations role at a tech startup. They're offering a lot of money and a big title." My heart sank a little. And I told them no. "Because I'm learning more here than I would anywhere else. You're the best mentor I could ask for. The culture you've built, the opportunities you've given me, the way you've taught me to think, not just execute. I don't want to leave that. I smiled. Emma, if you want to explore other opportunities, you should. Don't stay just because of loyalty to me. I'm not. I'm staying because this is where I want to be. You taught me that. Know your worth, but also know where you can grow the most. Right now. That's here. After she left, I sat at my desk and felt something I had not felt in a long time. Complete peace. A year ago, they had handed me boxes and told me I was replaceable. They were wrong. But more importantly, I had learned something they never intended to teach me. I learned my worth was not determined by their validation. It was determined by the value I created, the problems I solved, the people I developed, the systems I built. I learned that walking away was sometimes the most powerful thing you could do. Not as revenge, but as self-respect. I learned that credentials open doors, but competence keeps them open. I learned that the right response to disrespect was not anger. It was demonstrating your irreplaceability, then choosing whether to come back on your own terms. And I learned that sometimes you have to lose everything to realize you were never going to lose at all. You just had to be willing to walk away to discover how much you are worth coming back. That Tuesday morning a year ago, when Diane handed me those boxes and told me to clear out, she thought she was executing a simple personnel change. Instead, she sparked a transformation. Of me, of the company, of everything. Now I sat in my corner office, chief operating officer, board member, mentor to the next generation, architect of a culture that valued what mattered. They tried to erase me. Instead, I rewrote everything. And that made all the difference. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where people underestimated you, where they thought you were replaceable, where they chose credentials over your proven track record? How did you handle it? Did you walk away, or did you fight back? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you to know your worth and never accept being treated as less than you are, please hit that like button. It helps more people find these stories and reminds them of their own value.
And if you want to hear more stories about people who stood up for themselves, who recognized their worth, who refused to be diminished, subscribe to this channel. There are so many stories of everyday people finding their power and changing their circumstances. You deserve to hear them all.
Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Someone who is questioning their value, someone who has been overlooked or underestimated, someone who needs a reminder that their work speaks louder than any credential ever could. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that you are not replaceable. You are irreplaceable. And the moment you truly understand that is the moment everything changes. Know your worth, demand what you have earned, and never, ever, let anyone hand you boxes without recognizing what they are really losing. Take care of yourselves. You are more valuable than you know.